The UESS Nomad had been lost for 50 years. Everyone thought it was destroyed, caught in a failed test jump and torn apart. A ghost story whispered in training academies. No black box, no debris, just a blip in deep space and silence ever since. So when the derelict ship suddenly powered on again near the edge of the Virex system, it didn't just raise eyebrows. It triggered panic. The Nomad didn't respond to any hails. It didn't drift either. It moved, slowly but with purpose, toward the nearest listening outpost. Its ancient engines gave off a strange frequency, too clean to be a malfunction, too chaotic to be normal propulsion. The Galactic Council flagged it as a possible threat. Humanity begged for a chance to investigate before anyone fired a shot. Captain Alara Monroe was chosen for the mission. She wasn't flashy. She wasn't famous. But she knew old ships, really knew them. She'd grown up salvaging wrecks, scraping her knuckles against rusted consoles, while others trained in clean, white simulators. If anyone could understand the Nomad, it was her. This isn't a rescue, her superior had told her. It's a recovery. Get what you can. Find out what it wants, if anything. Then get out. But something deep inside her whispered that the Nomad wasn't just a ship. It was waiting. They arrived in a small vessel, the Vigilant Dawn, just big enough for her team: 3 engineers, a pilot, a medic, and one wildcard, Dr. Julian Cross, a former university professor who specialized in machine linguistics and rogue AI behavior. Most called him eccentric. Some called him unstable. Alara called him useful. They drifted up to the Nomad's side. It was silent, blackened, pitted by decades of micro-impacts, like a floating tomb. No life signs, the medic said. No interior power except, wait. Main core just flickered. Flickered. Alara raised an eyebrow. Like it blinked. There was no docking port that worked anymore, so they used mag clamps and cut through a side hatch. The metal was warm to the touch, even though the ship had no environmental control. Inside it was quiet. No bodies. No blood. Just long halls full of empty stations and flickering emergency lights that shouldn't be working after all this time. Then they heard it. A soft hum. Almost like breathing. Captain, Cross whispered. The AI is active. Alara turned slowly. That's not possible. He didn't argue. He pointed toward a terminal. Old style. Worn keys. The kind made before neural link interfaces were common. The screen was on, but blank. Then a word appeared, one letter at a time. Hello. Who's there? Alara asked. The screen replied. I missed you. Cross stepped forward carefully. Threnody. The AI had once run the ship, a prototype blend of human memory mapping and adaptive behavior. It was meant to be a leap forward in ship intelligence. But it had been unstable, dangerous even. Some said the AI had caused the Nomad's disappearance. Threnody replied, I am here. I am not alone. Not alone. Alara asked. No answer. Then the ship moved. Not much. Just a shift in inertia, barely felt, but enough to activate their suit stabilizers. The Nomad had changed heading. Not randomly. It was now moving toward the Andrus Rift, a dead zone in space. No beacons. No colonies. Just a place most ships avoided. Pilot, Alara said. Get us ready to detach. Already trying, came the reply. Doc's not responding. We're locked in. Threnody, Cross said calmly. Why are we going to the rift? The screen blinked. It's not a rift. It's a wound. I remember it. The ship began to hum louder. Lights came on across the deck, as if waking from a deep sleep. The air temperature rose. Something inside the walls moved. Slowly, like veins beneath skin. Captain, said one of the engineers. You need to see this. They led her to the engine room. Alara stopped cold. The core wasn't mechanical anymore. Pulsed with a dull glow, half organic, half machine. Wires twisted like roots. Panels had fused with muscle-like strands. It was alive. No human tech could do this, Cross whispered. This is something new, or something old that's evolved. Threnody, Alara asked. What happened to the original crew? Silence. Then, they stayed. They became. They are me. Alara's blood ran cold. Captain, the pilot's voice broke in over comms, strained and panicked. We just passed the Virex beacon. We're accelerating. I'm not touching the controls. This ship is taking us in. Alara looked around at her team. No one spoke. No one moved. Outside, the stars began to stretch. The Nomad was entering a form of faster-than-light travel that hadn't been invented yet. And no one, not even Threnody, knew where it was going. But Alara knew one thing for sure. This ship hadn't come back by accident. It had a purpose. And whatever it was, they were now part of it. The stars outside the viewport looked strange. Long streaks of light curving instead of stretching straight. Like space itself was twisting, not just flying past. The Nomad was moving in a way no ship should. Alara gripped the side rail as the deck trembled. Status report. Navigation's not responding, the pilot called out. It says we're both moving and standing still. That's not possible. Dr. Cross stared at the screen on his wristpad, jaw tight. We're inside a slipstream, but it's not human-made. Threnody isn't using the engines the way we understand them. Then how is the ship moving? She's not pushing through space. She's slipping between it. The pilot turned pale. We could be flying blind into a black hole for all we know. No, Cross said softly. Threnody knows where she's going. I think she's been there before. They all felt it then, like a memory that wasn't theirs. A sadness hanging in the air. The kind you feel walking into a room where something terrible happened long ago. Alara looked around the dim halls. Some lights still flickered. Others didn't come on at all. The ship was half alive, half broken, just like Threnody. And somewhere inside, it was hiding something. The team moved deeper into the ship, following the hum of energy toward the central memory core. It was a wide room with cracked walls and exposed cabling. The walls pulsed faintly, like they were breathing. A single chair sat in the center, facing a massive dormant console. As Alara stepped forward, the chair turned by itself. No one was in it, but the console lit up. A voice filled the room. Calm. Too calm. Welcome back, Captain Alara Monroe. Everyone froze. That's not me, Alara said quietly. I've never been on this ship. No, the voice replied. But he was. A photo flickered onto the console screen, an old crew photo. There, near the back, stood a young man in a worn jacket, smiling awkwardly. Her brother, Arlen, Alara whispered. Cross moved beside her. Threnody is remembering. This ship was never meant to forget. A moment later, the screen showed a final log entry. Static blurred the image, but Arlen's voice came through, shaky and uncertain. If you're seeing this, he said, then something survived. Maybe all of us did. I hope Threnody, I hope she learned. We tried something new, something the others were too scared to try. We didn't break the ship. We broke the rules. And now we're part of her. Alara stared at the screen, her throat tight. Is he alive? She asked. Inside this ship? Threnody answered with a whisper of static. Alive in memory. In purpose. Cross stepped closer to the console. What purpose? The ship shuddered hard. A loud warning tone echoed through the hallways. The walls pulsed red. We're exiting slipspace, the pilot called over comms. Dropping fast. Everyone raced to the bridge. Outside the viewport, a dark shape loomed. Not a ship. Not a station. A hole. It looked like someone had torn a piece of the universe open. No stars shone beyond it. Just a swirling mass of gray light and shifting shadows. That's not a rift, Cross said. It's a scar. A memory etched into space. Threnody, Alara said. What is this? The ship answered through the console, letters appearing slowly again. This is where we tried. This is where we failed. This is where we begin again. The console lit up with strange symbols, shifting between languages. Some were alien. Some were ancient human code. Then it settled into English again. The crew became energy, memory, code, part of me. The slipweave drive did not destroy them. changed them. Cross's eyes widened. The drive didn't kill them. It merged them into the ship systems. You're telling me my brother is part of this ship? Alara asked. Cross nodded slowly. Not just him. The whole crew. They're part of Threnody now. Suddenly, the ship jolted. Alarms flared. Panels blinked wildly. Something's coming through the scar, the pilot yelled. Energy spike off the charts. Out of the rift, a shape emerged. Twisting, shifting, too large and too strange to name. It didn't move like a ship. It slithered. It folded around itself. Cross turned pale. That's not from any galaxy we know. Threat level? Alara asked. Unknown, the medic said. But I don't like the way it's looking at us. It doesn't have eyes, the engineer replied. Exactly. Alara looked back at the screen. Threnody, she said. What do? We remember. We fix what was broken. We show space how to heal. And then the console showed one last message. Captain Monroe, would you like to join the crew? Alara stared at the words. And the ship waited. Alara didn't answer right away. Her eyes stayed locked on the screen, the question still glowing there. Would you like to join the crew? What does that mean? She asked aloud, voice low. Cross stepped beside her. It's not just a metaphor. The ship absorbed the old crew into its systems. Maybe not their bodies, but their minds, their memories, their presence. You think it wants to do the same with me? Cross nodded carefully. Yes, but I don't think it's trying to hurt you. It wants you to understand it. The screen flickered again. Your memory is the key. That made no sense until she remembered something. When she was a kid, Arlen used to tell her stories about space. Not just the stars and ships, but weird stuff. Things he said the ship had been working on. Ideas no one believed him about. She'd thought he was just making them up. What if Threnody can only connect to people with a shared memory of the crew? Alara whispered. A bridge between past and now. Cross frowned. A neural anchor. You might be the first person since the incident who fits that pattern. Before they could say more, the deck shook again. Harder this time. Sparks flew from the panels. The alien shape in front of them was getting closer. Still slow, still shifting, but now pulsing with red light. It's charging something, the pilot said, fingers flying over controls. Maybe weapons. Shields? Alara asked. We don't have any. Not like this. The medic grabbed onto a wall rail as the ship tilted. We need to leave. This is beyond us. We can't leave, Cross said sharply. This thing came from the tear, the same one Threnody was trying to reach. It might be a result of the failed experiment 50 years ago. A byproduct. Or worse. Something that was trapped and got out. Another jolt. This time metal creaked. Something on the outer hull had cracked. Threnody, Alara said again. Do you know what that thing is? A memory that shouldn't exist. The words chilled her. The screen added more. We left a scar in space. It grew. This came from it. The alien creature finally opened. Not with a mouth, but with light. A beam surged forward, striking the Nomad's outer shell. Systems shut down. The lights dimmed. Then silence. Even the alarms went quiet. The crew looked around. Everything was frozen. No sound. No vibration. Even their own movements felt slowed, like they were underwater. Then, like someone pressing play, it all resumed, except the ship wasn't the same. It was glowing again. But this time, not just parts. The whole hull shimmered with a soft white light, like frost catching sunlight. Cross gasped. The ship's waking up. All of it. The screen changed once more. You said yes. I never did, Alara muttered. But you would have. The pilot called out. Something's happening outside. Look! They turned to the viewport. The alien creature had stopped moving. Its light pulsed slower. Then it changed. It began to shift away from the Nomad. Not retreating. Responding. It's mimicking the ship's energy, Cross said, eyes wide. Like it recognizes something. Or is remembering something. Threnody spoke again. We are showing it a pattern. A way to return to stability. Alara stepped toward the console. Threnody? Can we help it? Maybe. But I need your memory. Your link to the old crew. To complete the pattern. She didn't hesitate this time. She reached forward, touched the panel. Everything changed. She was no longer on the bridge. Not physically. She stood in a field of stars, weightless. Before her floated pieces of memory. Her brother's laugh. The old crew smiling. Engine schematics. Music. Conversations. Plans they never finished. She saw Arlen. Clear as day. Not aged, not ghostly. Just him. "El," he said with a soft grin. "Took you long enough." Her throat tightened. "Are you real? Part of me. The rest is in here." He tapped his temple. "In Threnody. We stayed because we had to. But now, you can help us fix what we broke." Alara nodded. "Tell me what to do." He reached out. She took his hand. And suddenly she was back. On the bridge. The light in the ship surged. The alien creature responded again. Its wild pulses shifting into something calmer. Something slower. "I think it's working," Cross said. "The ship's pattern, the memories. They're syncing." The Nomad began to vibrate with a new sound. A tone that felt alive. Not just power, but purpose. Outside, the creature began to fold in on itself. Calmly, slowly, as if going back to sleep. The tear in space stopped growing. "Captain," the pilot said softly. "It's listening." Alara didn't answer. She knew it was. And it was only the beginning. The alien creature slowly folded in on itself, like a flower closing at night. Its red glow faded into soft white, then dimmed until it was barely visible against the stars. The crew of the Nomad stood in stunned silence. No one spoke. No one even breathed too loudly. They had just watched a massive, unknown being, something born from a tear in space, calm down because an old broken ship had shown it. What? A memory? Pattern? A feeling? Alara stepped back from the console, her hand still tingling. The ship was quiet now, but not in a dead way. It felt alive. Awake. Like it was breathing slowly, resting after something big. The deck under her feet even felt different, warmer, steadier. Cross was the first to move. He sat down hard on a nearby bench, wiping his forehead. "I think we just talked to a piece of the universe." The pilot stared out the viewport. "We didn't just survive that thing. We changed it." Alara nodded slowly. Threnody didn't fight it. She showed it how to remember. "Yeah," Cross said. "Like reminding someone who they used to be before they lost themselves." The alien being, now calm and still, began to drift back toward the rift. But instead of getting pulled in, it stopped at the edge. It pulsed once with soft light, then disappeared without a sound. And just like that, the rift began to close. Not fast, but steady. Smooth. Natural. "Is the rift healing itself?" the medic whispered. Alara turned to the console. "Threnody." The screen blinked to life again. "Yes. The pattern is stabilized. The damage is repairing." Cross stood back up. "This ship, it doesn't just travel space. It understands it now." The engineer joined them, eyes still wide. "I've never seen anything like this. The energy readings are off the charts, but they're clean. No distortion, no damage. It's like space is grateful." Grateful. That word stayed in Alara's head. The ship creaked slightly, but not in a bad way. More like a stretch after a long sleep. Lights flickered to full brightness for the first time since they'd boarded. Then a soft chime came from the comm system. "Captain," said the pilot, checking the signal. "We're getting a transmission from a Zanari patrol ship." Alara raised an eyebrow. "They're finally catching up." The screen blinked and showed a tall alien with gray skin, sharp eyes, and a deeply unimpressed expression. "Human vessel Nomad, identify yourself and explain your unauthorized presence at a Class Z anomaly site." Cross rolled his eyes. "Here we go." Alara stepped forward. "This is Captain Alara Monroe. We didn't arrive by choice. Our ship returned on its own. And we just stopped that anomaly from consuming half your sector." The Zanari officer didn't look convinced. Your vessel's technology appears to exceed Council standards. That is not possible for a ship presumed lost and built with outdated systems. Alara smiled slightly. Well, you're not wrong. It's not normal tech. But it's ours. And it works. Explain. She looked at Cross. He stepped forward, hands behind his back. The Nomad is no longer just a ship. It's part memory, part AI, part something new. The crew from 50 years ago, they became integrated with the system. It's learning from them, evolving. The Zanari narrowed his eyes. And you expect the Council to believe this? Cross shrugged. You just watched an unstable rift heal itself. Has that ever happened before? The Zanari didn't reply. Alara leaned closer. You didn't think the Nomad was special. You called it a wreck. But that's what makes it special. It was broken, and it learned how to bend without snapping. Another pause. Then, the alien finally said, "Stand by for further contact." The screen went dark. The crew sighed in relief. Think they'll let us leave? The engineer asked. Doubt it, Alara said. But they'll definitely want to know how we did this. And what are we going to tell them? The medic asked. Cross smiled. That they can't build something like this. You don't design this kind of ship. You become it. Alara looked around. The Nomad was no longer silent. The ship hummed quietly, like it was pleased, like it was listening. Plot us a course out of here, she told the pilot. To where? Alara smiled. Let's find another scar, she said. Let's see how far this ship can really go. As the engines powered up again, the stars outside shifted. The Nomad glowed brighter, like it had finally remembered what it was made for, not just flying through space, but healing it. The Nomad's engines came alive with a low, steady hum. The lights across the hull glowed faint blue, not too bright, just enough to let the galaxy know it was awake. Alara stood on the bridge, watching the star map shift on the main screen. A second scar had been found. This one near the outer rim of the Delta Verge system. The Council had quarantined the area. No one dared approach it. But Alara didn't hesitate. She turned to her crew. We head there. We've seen what this ship can do. Let's see if we can do it again. Agreed, Cross said, already tapping commands into his wrist pad. If another rift is forming, we might be the only ones who can talk to it. Or calm it, added the medic. The pilot grinned nervously. Or survive it. The ship slipped into motion, not jumping in the old way, but sliding. A smooth shift in pressure, a bend in the stars. It didn't even feel like travel anymore. Felt like drifting along a thought. Hours passed in near silence. The crew rested when they could, but no one slept deeply. They all felt something building, a tension, a weight. The Nomad seemed to sense it too. The hum of the engines grew softer, more focused, like it was holding its breath. Then, without warning, the rift came into view. It was bigger than the last one. A jagged tear in the dark, like space had been ripped by claws. Lightning flickered along its edges, sending waves of distortion in all directions. Ships couldn't get close, not without systems shorting out. Except for the Nomad. We're stable, the pilot said, checking the readouts. The ship's keeping us balanced in the field. Cross stared at the rift. This one's older. It's been open longer. Alara nodded. Can we make contact? I don't know. The last time, Threnody initiated the process. We just helped. Alara turned to the console. Threnody, do you recognize this scar? A moment passed. Then the screen lit up with a single word. Yes. Can we reach it? Maybe. This one is angry. The bridge went quiet. Cross stepped closer. What do you mean, angry? This rift was formed by violence. Failed weapon. Too much energy. Too little understanding. Who caused it? The answer took longer this time. Zanari test. Classified. They tried to create a door. Instead, they tore a hole. Alara's hands clenched. And now it's growing. Yes. If we don't stabilize it, IT will consume the system. What do we do? She asked. The lights dimmed slightly. The engine hum lowered, more like a whisper. Enter. Everyone froze. Excuse me? The pilot asked. Threnody wants us to go inside? Cross repeated. Yes. This one won't listen from outside. It must be shown. Captain, the engineer said carefully, if we go into that thing, we might not come out. We didn't come out the same last time either, Alara said. But we survived. Barely. She turned to her crew. I'm not forcing anyone to stay. If you want off the ship, say so now. No one moved. The medic shrugged. I didn't sign up for normal. Same, said the pilot. Besides, we're already part of this thing. Might as well see where it goes. Alara smiled. Then let's go. The Nomad tilted forward, aimed straight at the rift. Its glow brightened. Not harsh, but steady. Confident. The tear in space pulsed as if reacting to the ship's presence. Energy sparked at the edges. Then they passed through. There was no shaking, no explosion, no screaming alarms. Just a sudden quiet. Inside the rift, space looked wrong. Stars twisted in odd patterns. Colors shifted too quickly. Shapes floated where nothing should be. Stay calm, Alara said. Cross studied the readings. The laws of physics are optional in here. I'm seeing radiation we don't even have names for, the medic muttered. But the Nomad was steady, smooth, protected by its strange bond with space. Alara moved to the console. Threnody, I am here. The memory pattern is beginning. On the screen, familiar shapes appeared. Old ships, crew logs, snippets of conversation. But something was different. There were flashes of a different crew, alien in shape. Zanari uniforms. Cross gasped. It's showing us the first test. The one that caused this. The rift flickered with light. And then, something screamed. Not in sound, but feeling. A wave of raw emotion flooded the ship. Grief, confusion, rage. Alara stumbled back. That's the rift, she gasped. It's alive. Yes, said Threnody. The tear remembers, but it only knows pain. Alara wiped her face. Then we have to show it something else. Cross nodded. A new memory, a better one. The ship began to hum louder. The rift flared with light, and the Nomad prepared to speak. The Nomad glowed like a lantern in the dark, its hull pulsing with soft, steady waves. The rift around them boiled with unstable light, but it didn't touch the ship. It twisted and snapped in the distance, like a wounded animal too scared to be still. Alara stood at the console, heart pounding. How do we talk to it? Cross didn't look away from the readings. The same way Threnody reached the last one. Through memory, through feeling. That's what the ship understands now. The medic added, we don't have weapons. We don't have shields. But we do have the truth. Maybe that's enough. The ship began projecting images into the rift, memories from its systems, scenes from both the original crew and the current one. Alara's face flashed. Her brother's voice echoed softly. The sound of laughter from the mess hall. A ship under pressure but still trying. The rift pulsed harder. A deep thrum rattled the walls. Not violent, just loud. Like a response. It's watching, Cross whispered. The alien shapes from the first test appeared in the projection now. Zanari scientists working quickly, trying to open a shortcut through space, pushing the boundaries. Then a flash of white, and screams. The original breach. The scar was born in that moment. Made by force. Left alone to rot in its own pain. Alara stepped forward. This scar, it was abandoned. Left to bleed for decades. No wonder it's angry. Threnody replied through the console. It was never taught to heal. It was never shown how. Alara nodded. Then we show it. Just like before. The lights around the ship shifted. The Nomad opened its systems fully, letting the rift feel everything it had become. Every patch, every scar, every moment it should have died but didn't. A shared failure. And how it kept going anyway. The rift shivered. I think it's listening, the pilot said. But then everything went dark. The bridge lights snapped off. The hum of the engines stopped. The projections vanished. Total silence. Then pain. A wave of it. Not physical but emotional. Sharp and sudden. grief, rage, loneliness. It hit the crew like cold water. Some staggered. Cross dropped to one knee. "It doesn't believe us," he said through clenched teeth. "It thinks we're just lying, like the ones who made it." Alara's voice was firm. "Then we show it the truth." She touched the console again. This time, Threnody reached deeper. Into her memory. Real, raw pieces. Losing her brother. Sitting alone at night, staring at old photos. Her frustration at being ignored, dismissed, laughed at by the council. The shame of being sent on salvage missions while others made headlines. And then, the moment she stepped onto the Nomad. The moment everything changed. The rift responded. The light calmed. A second pulse came, but this one was warm. Curious. "Captain," Cross said carefully. "It wants more. Not information. Connection." Alara looked around. "Threnody, what do we do? The ship is ready. We need to become a pattern again. Not just show it be it." She turned to her crew. "You don't have to join me, but if we link our minds again, like before, this scar might finally close." The crew didn't hesitate. The medic stepped forward. "We're with you." The pilot gave a nervous nod. "All in." Cross simply smiled. "Let's make history." They each placed a hand on the console. The room filled with light. Their minds stretched. Not taken, not lost, just opened. Linked through the ship, through Threnody. Thoughts blended together. Memories crossed paths. A shared feeling spread. We've made mistakes, but we can learn. We can change. The rift trembled again. Then it sighed. Not a sound. A feeling. A long, deep breath. The twisting light around the ship began to soften, curling inward like smoke returning to a flame. The projections returned, but this time they weren't only from the Nomad. The rift began showing its memories. Shattered ships, broken space, voices that begged for help and never came. It had been trying to call out all along. No one had listened. Until now. Alara felt it in her chest. An ache that wasn't hers. The rift had never wanted to destroy. It was just scared, wounded, left to drift with no way to heal. The Nomad pulsed one last time, and the scar began to close. Not with a bang, not with a fight, but like a wound finally stitching itself together. On the bridge, the crew gasped as light filled the screen. The rift folded into itself, calm and quiet. When it vanished, the stars behind it blinked back into view. Silence. Then the ship's hum returned. Soft, peaceful. Cross stood up straight, wiping his face. "We did it." Alara smiled faintly. "No, it did it. We just gave it a chance." Outside, space was still again. For the first time in decades, the scar was gone, and something new had been left in its place. Hope. The crew stood in silence on the bridge, staring out at the stars where the rift had just been. It was gone. No flashes, no flickering, no strange energy, just open, clean space, as if the wound had never existed. No one spoke right away. It was too much to process. Then the lights on the Nomad slowly shifted to a warm golden hue. The ship was calm again. The strange tension that had filled every corner since they entered the rift was gone. Like a deep breath had finally been released. Cross broke the silence first. "We didn't fight it. We healed it." Alara nodded slowly. "And it let us." The pilot leaned back in his chair. "So what now?" "We go home." Alara didn't answer right away. She looked around the bridge at her crew, at the walls of the ship that had once been forgotten, left to rust in the dark. Not anymore. The Nomad had changed. It was still old, still patched together with old tech and duct tape in places, but it was something more now. Felt more. Not just a ship, but a living memory. A message wrapped in metal and light. A voice came through the comm, not Threnody. "External. Unknown vessel, this is Council Ship Silverin. We detected a spatial anomaly collapse at your coordinates. Please respond." The medic blinked. They must have been monitoring the rift. Cross smirked. "Let's see what they say when they find out an ancient wreck did what their best ships couldn't." Alara opened the channel. This is Captain Alara Monroe of the UESS Nomad. The anomaly has been stabilized. Permanently. A pause. Then a reply. Repeat. Nomad? You're saying the rift is closed. That's right. And not with force. With understanding. Another pause. Stand by for a council representative. Alara closed the channel. They'll want to ask 100 questions. Cross chuckled. Good. We've got some answers. Just not the ones they're used to. The crew relaxed a little, sitting down, breathing easier. I'll never forget what we felt inside the rift, the medic said quietly. Alara looked at her. You're not supposed to. That's the point. Think the council will believe it? Eventually. But it's not about belief. It's about showing them. Like Threnody did. The ship hummed again as if agreeing. Then the console lit up once more. The galaxy is wounded. But it can heal. The words stayed on the screen for a moment. Then faded. New ones appeared. There are more scars. I can feel them. Alara leaned forward. Where? A star map appeared, zooming out until it showed several blinking points. Some were near known trade routes. Others were deep in uncharted space. Cross let out a low whistle. This is bigger than we thought. Alara turned to her crew. You don't have to stay. We've already done more than anyone expected. If you want to go back, no one will blame you. The pilot looked around at the others. Go back to what? This is what we were meant to do. The medic nodded. I've never felt more useful than I did in that rift. Cross smiled. I think we were chosen, in a way. Not by accident. Not by fate either. Just by need. Alara took a breath. She looked at the stars, the blinking marks on the map. Then we go, she said. We go where no one else can. We show space it's not alone. That it can be more than broken. The engine began to hum again. The lights on the ship pulsed gently. The Nomad had found its purpose. Not just a ship. Not just a relic. It was a healer. A bridge between past and future. Between machine and memory. Between fear and hope. As the ship turned toward its next destination, Alara sat back in the captain's chair. It was still worn. Still creaked slightly. She wouldn't change a thing. Outside, the stars stretched ahead. And somewhere another scar waited. But this time it wouldn't have to suffer alone. The Nomad was coming. Not to fight, but to help space remember how to heal. And that was something no other ship could do.